Hello guys, I'm Ajinkya as part of the organizing team and excited to welcome all of you to this session. This session is regarding Gungun and to get to know more about her journey as a fresher. She is an CSE student at NIT Surat and an ex-Amazon intern who started tech with zero clue, just like all of us. But through pure grit and non-stop learning and hands-on experience, she cracked the hackathons, built some awesome projects, and even got featured in a podcast. So you would ask, what's in for you? Okay, so her journey is super relatable, and she's here to share it with you. She will share ups and downs in breaking into web development, the lessons she learned from working at Amazon and competing in hackathons, tips on building projects, winning hackathons, and landing internship. And we would have a Q&A. So without further ado, let's welcome Gungun Panchal.
Hi everyone, I'm Gungun, and today we'll be just discussing about a very raw conversation would be there between you and me, like how my journey started as a fresher. So hey everyone, I'm just a tech innovator who is just not building technologies, just learning about the different technologies here and there. I'm passionate about technology and I love learning different tools. So this is my work experience. Like last summer, I did my internship at Amazon. Currently, I'm a 6-month intern at Auraverse, and I am a final year student at SVNIT. So how many of you are first year peeps? You can raise your hands over here. Okay. And how many of you are still struggling with which language to be choose? It's like C++, Java, JavaScript, Python. Like who all are still struggling with that? Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. So today we'll be discussing about the following points, like what to start with. The second one is, should we go for the web development or the app development? The third one would be, shall we just focus on DSA or development? What is primarily for the placements and internships? Then we'll move on to how do you participate into the hackathons? And last, we'll be talking about internships and placements. So let's talk about the hackathons first of all. How many of you is this your first hackathon? This Auraflix is your first hackathon? Okay, okay. Kiran and Arif are the ones who have first time participated into the hackathons. So participating into the hackathons was one of the most biggest step that I would say that I took, because I would learn a lot of new technologies while going through just a 3-day grind. So it would just set you apart for the next some of the months, like which next technology that you can use or that you can learn. How many of you have attended in-person hackathons? Okay. So let's talk about the experience at remote hackathons and in-person hackathons. So it's completely different, and I do recommend joining the in-person hackathons to be more. But if you're just fine, like if you just want to be flexible enough according to a schedule, then the remote hackathons comes into place. In-person hackathons are really good. Like you get to there, you meet the jury people, you collaborate with the people over there, you have the fun games and all around. I do expect that we try to copy it down to some extent, but due to some constraints, we weren't able to give you the full experience of what an in-person hackathon would give. Okay, So let's talk about how did I get started into the for the hackathons. So even I was a newbie, I was struggling with forming the teams. So I would just DM my friends like, "Hey, this weekend shall we go for a hackathon?" And most of the people would say just say no. That they can just chill out for a weekend. Why do you have to go for the hackathons? The college assignments and everything is just not enough. So I thought that so during that time I thought how to form a team. So there was just one hackathon in which I had no friends and I was completely off my friends. And so the individuals who have joined for this hackathon individually, so they have taken a great step. So the next time you do, you'll be having more friends to talk to about the hackathons. So what I did was I reached out to their own channel. I put a message that, hey, I'm Gungun. These are the technologies and these are some of the strengths. If anyone is up for the hackathon, then we can just collaborate with each other. So during this Microsoft GitHub Copilot hackathon, this happened during 2023. So I wasn't having any team. So I just reached out to another person who was good in the back end part and I was good in the front end part. So both of us collaborated with each other and it was a 1 month long hackathon. So we developed a Fine Ease website wherein you can track your budgets, wherein you can have your financial goal statements. We created a very neat and clean UI for it, and that like we didn't to be honest, we didn't even thought that what would be the price of this particular hackathon or just like that. So we're just focusing on that. We want just to make a full stack web development project before, like it was in my summer vacation. So I targeted that I just want a project to be done, and that's it. And during the results, we were announced that we were among the second among 5,500 teams across the India, and we won a prize of 1.25 lakhs, and that was amazing. We weren't expecting for it. Then just after that particular hackathon, I was been announced as, like, I was been selected for the Code for Good that is been organized by JPMC. So that particular hackathon was also a remote hackathon in which like it was for an internship. Like if you get selected and you work good into that particular hackathon, then you get an internship at JP Morgan and Chase. So we were about 7 to 8 people. Like there was a ice breaking session that we did for similar for the Oraflix hackathon. Like we were being put into some different groups, like 7 to 8 people in one particular group. I guess they'll do it such a way that you don't be messed up with any other person from your same college. So you'll have to interact with them. You'll have to collaborate with them. You'll learn about the communication skills. You'll learn about to listen to someone else. So that all hackathon was about that only. So we were given an I project in which it was ML based, and none of the people just knew the ML. So what we did was, during it was 2 day hackathon, so we weren't expecting that the entire prototype could be built, but we brainstormed over the ideas and we brainstorm over the existing codes and the resources and the references all out and there, and then we somehow presented in the final round of jury, and 4 out of 7 members from my own team just made it to the internship. Now, what was my strategy during that? So even if you don't know the problem statement or how do you approach it, so you should just get started off with this. You should just look into the existing codes that are been there, and almost all the hackathons are not just about which tech stack are you using or which technology are you using. It's about how well and efficiently you are using that particular technology to solve that particular use case. So even if I talk about the Microsoft GitHub Copilot hackathon, so we just use the React, and that is very simple. I guess now every second year or third year, people would just know about what the React components are and everything. And the backend was also very simple, just MongoDB, the MERN stack that we have used. So the tech stack was very simple, but how did we use? And the UI was very clean and neat. Like even a sixth grader who just want to manage his or her finances could do it. So that is how the strategy would be. Like use the simple technologies, but you should be sound enough that you solve the problem use case out of it. And the most important part of the hackathons is to collaborate and network with the people. Like, you are not just there for the coding, you do it every day here and there, but there you meet with the new peoples. It's like networking is the most important skill if you look forward in your career. Okay, so let's talk something about DSA. And this meme, I guess all of us are would be aware of, that placements ke saath bhi and placement ke baad bhi. And that is, even if you ask to a 5-year experienced person, or just a fresher, or just a person who is doing his internship, so for all of them, DSA is as much important as for all of those categories. Now, I like on my LinkedIn, I have got like 30 to 40 responses for the same, like which language to be choose for the data success and algorithm. How many of you are using C++? Okay. And how many of you are using Java? Okay. Okay. So even I got the same doubt. So first of all, due to my college academics, I had to use C language for learning the DSA. So that they told us to learn C language uh, in for the DSA, but that is very basic. You cannot use C language everywhere. So like for first 2 months, we were just hands on with the C language, so that you get the actual understanding of how do you create a new node, like how does that allocation of the node happens and all. So for that, I would just use C, like for 1 and 2 months when I was just a newbie into the DSA. And for the next for the like for preparation of my internships and all, I used Java, wherein I was like so I enrolled into Apna College DSA course, wherein we were like the tutor was instructing us to use Java because it has been more used in many of the industries. And even while during my internship at Amazon, I felt that Java is much more useful than C++. But it's not black and white that C++ is wrong or Java is wrong. So both of them would just like they are just languages. You have to learn the languages. Even I know the syntax of the C++, and the people who are coding in C++, they know the syntax of the Java. So when you are just starting off, just start off with one single language, and then focus on the problem solving and the logic building. Like the questions that you practice on the different platforms, they are much more important than the language that you are using. Now, how many of you do competitive coding? Okay. Okay, so we have 3 to 4 people doing competitive coding. I tried competitive coding, but I really badly failed at competitive coding. Like I was the one who was like I didn't got the things that competitive coding was asking me to. Like I wasn't that much math oriented focused person. So that's why competitive coding wasn't a thing for me. Like I tried doing, but I still give it a shot. I tried doing it on the code forces and code chef, but rest of the time I was just practicing the questions on lead code. So the next question that I was mostly been asked was to which platforms to practice. So I personally recommend lead code, which has the interview based questions. Like, and many people think that competitive coding is very much important for the placements. It's not like that. Even I did do the competitive coding, but I still got into very good companies. Like first of all, I cracked JPMC and then Amazon. So I nowhere felt that competitive coding is much more important. But if you like it, you can just do it. But it's not that if you are not able to do competitive coding, you won't be able to solve the questions that are being asked by the companies. They are just interview based questions. So there would be a set of, you'll find ample amount of resources for the same, like interview questions by Amazon, interview questions by Google, and also there is a definite 150 to 200 set of questions, and you just have to practice them and you have to revise them. Even I do on regular basis for it. So it just the scope of the DSE is very small. Like you have very structured 150 to 200, 150 to 170 questions, and then you are just applying the same concepts. Like you will get a harder question by just mixing 2 to 3 medium level questions. So it's that, just that. And the next question is, how many problems daily? So how many of you solve problems daily? Okay. So I was a person who would, like, I was a person who hated codings in the start. So then I thought that if I have to get to the placements and internships, I'll have to practice coding no matter what. So what I did was I disciplined myself, like at least 1 hour a day. I'll practice one question, or at least I'll watch one video per day. So with that, I just developed the momentum. If you ask about the number of problems, a same person can solve 3 to 4 problems in just 1 hour, and a same person can take like the similar time to solve 1 or 2 questions. So it's up to you, and depending upon your path and your mental ability, you should just do it, but do it regularly and with consistency. And the next is, I used to give the contest, and like I was very strict on myself to be very sure that I attend the lead code weekly and bi-weekly contest. It gives the actual it gives you the actual pressure and the stress that you feel during those contests. Like on lead code, every Sunday 8 o'clock, 8 to 9:30 it happens, right? So first one is easy, the second rest of two are medium, and the last one is the hard question one. So I'll make myself sure that I should be able to solve first 3 questions. And the fourth one, even though if I'm not able to get to the optimized approach, I'll just try to have the easy, like the brute force approach. So with that, like the stress that you do it, like during the interviews as well, you'll able to crack that question out of, like, just coming out of the interview. But solving that particular question within that particular stress, with that stress in your mind and that time constraint, that is much more important. And that is what Lead Code contest or any other platforms contest, whichever you feel that is good for you, can go ahead with that. Now we'll talk about the development next. Now, which tech stack do you be used? Now, I was a person who would just ping the different seniors, like, is Monstack very good, or is Python very good, or is this much tech stack very good or not? So they would just tell me that either of the tech stack that you use, you just go through it and make a full stack development out of it. Like, you know the front end, you also know the back end, and you are also able to integrate both of them. So what I did was, Monstack was then been called the India ka tech stack. So while I was about to participate in Code for Good, so our seniors just recommended us that you will be collaborating with the people around the India. So they recommended us to just learn about the Monstack, and rest of the technologies like Django and the other different tech stacks, you can just have an overview of it. But Monstack, if you're able to do it very thoroughly and you understand the concepts, then it is just the language change and some of the modifications would be there in the different tech stacks. So I use Monstack for my full stack development project. And next would be, what type of project should we make? It should be like group or individual. So I have a couple of group projects, and even I have couple of individual projects. So while I was just learning all of those things, I tried to build the individual projects. And while this hackathons or some college projects and off and all, so there I was developing the group projects. In group projects, you also learn about like you'll also get to know about from your friends or from your co-workers that this technology can be used in this particular way. So an another perspective to the same technology you'll get, and you'll also be able to communicate, like you'll also learn to communicate. In communication, it's very important to put your point forward, and also it's very important to listen to the other people's as well. So while doing the group projects, it's like all of you just solving one particular problem, and that is what it actually happens in companies as well. So during that, group projects are also essential and individual projects are also essential. Now I have got DMs regarding that shall we go for the web dev, AI ML, or the app development. You can go for any of them. If you like, I personally haven't explored the app development as much. I've just did the web development and then did AI ML projects related. Like there was just modifications of AI ML projects that are existing ones. So why I choose web development? First, it was easy, and second, there are a lot of resources for it. I know that there are a lot of resources for the app development as well, but I somehow thought that web development is would be much more easy for me, and I can just build up new more projects on that, and I'll be much more confident if I've been given a web development problem statement. The next question is how many projects to make. So the companies won't mind you that you have made 4 projects or 5 projects or anything like that. They can just they would just ask you to just open up one particular project that you have made entirely on your own self, and they would just ping you up that what is this particular component doing into that, what is that particular component doing into that, like why did you choose React for it, why did you choose Node.js for the same, why didn't you use some other technology. So whatever, just one, at least 2 to 3 projects are enough according to me for your resume to look good. And whatever the projects that you are doing, you should be very thorough with it. So like I personally use the Finance project that I had developed. So the front end and the back end entirely, I was knowing what each and every component was doing and how it was doing. So I was thorough with that. And all the projects that I'm mentioning, be sure that they are genuine ones. Even though if you are copying it from anywhere else, be sure that you understand what each and every component in that particular project is doing. Next slide, please. Yeah. So let's talk about my internship experience at Amazon. So I interned at Amazon last summer during 2024. From May to July, it was a 2-month internship, and I was been assigned the project called as Amazon Diaries. Sounds interesting, right? So what I was supposed to do into that, where like there were two interns into that particular project, and it was completely an intern project, like both of us just working into that. So we had to collaborate with, so the project was that we'll have, if you guys are aware of the Spotify year round wrap up song, right? So we were building something very similar to that. It was like Amazon's wrap up song, where we'll have to say how many gifts did you buy, what sort of personality if you have, like if you buy more things then you have softer personality, if you buy very small, very less things, then you are like somewhat conservative, like you are budget friendly personality. So with that, we had to analyze the data, and we'll have to categorize the people into some sort of personalities. Then we'll say like this many gifts were delivered to you. So it was a year round, right, like wrap up song just for from Amazon to the customer. So just to make them feel special that, oh, this has been journey of that particular customer with Amazon. So I was a person who was been part of the video generation thing, and another co-intern was a part of video distribution. So we used different AWS services like Lambda, then we use like CloudFront URL. So that entire experience was like I'm learning about the new technologies of AWS services every day, and that was like that the learning curve was like at its peak. Like every day I have to challenge myself to just learn about the new technologies at Amazon. So my internship was at Bangalore, in Bagmani capital, and the working culture was good. So let's talk about, so everyone, if we come from the Amazon, like they would be like, how do the people work over there? So the working culture is good. We were being provided with lots of gifts and free food. So we were being part of lots of events. You get into, you meet with the mentors and the industry experts, the leaderships. So we were being part of all of those activities where a full time, how does a experience of a full-time employee at Amazon would be, and it was really incredible. So this is connect with me. This is my LinkedIn profile. So you can just share, like, put a request to me, and we can connect on LinkedIn. Okay, now so now we'll open a forum where you'll be asking me the questions, and I'll be answering you the question.
So Gungun, I will ask you the questions. I will read the questions out and you would answer them. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start. Please tell us in short which programming is best and suitable for DSA.
Okay. So, as I've already covered in the slide, that either C++ or Java. But like I personally choose Java because I like the Java more. But if you are doing comparative coding and all, then you can go for the C++. Rest, both of the languages are good. The logic building is much more important than choosing the best language.
Okay. Next question is interview experience in Amazon. I think that's done. Uh,
No, interview experience is not done. Just the
okay, okay.
experience. Okay. So interview experience, mine was 2 months intern that I was applying to, right? So first of all, we had been two assessment rounds. So the first one would be an MCQ based, where you'll be just asked about 30, 40, 30, 35 questions that should be solved in a 45-minute time frame, and that would be just the computer science fundamentals like oops, dbms, computer, all of that. So you just have to understand those, but very basic level questions. So after, once you clear it out, you will be given another assessment round wherein you'll have to solve two coding questions. Both of the coding questions were medium to hard level on lead code, and they were standard questions. There wasn't anything like Google, or like Google does, like they form their own questions for each interview, and that's not the same for the Amazon, like at least for the online assessment round. So very basic questions. If you have solved like about 150, 160 questions, then it's fine, you'll be able to solve that particular question. And the next was an interview round in which there were two persons. One person would ask one question, and two questions. You will have to go through three particular approaches: the brute force one, the optimize, like the modified one, and the most optimized one. So you should first explain the problem. You should try to explain what you have understood from the particular problem, and then you should go for the solution. And I was able to solve both of the questions within the time frame of 1 hour, like we completed with 15 minutes before. And that's how I landed up internship at Amazon.
Okay, so the next question is where we can find these questions. I think he means by DSA questions.
Okay. Okay. So there would be a lot of links out there. I guess Striver has done, Striver, Raj Striver, if you know, he has on his platform lot of questions like interview based questions. Then Arj Goel has published that particular list. There you'll find an ample number of resources for it.
So the next question is thoughts on Web3.
Okay, thoughts on Web3. That means blockchain.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I'm not learning about it actively, but I had just started Solidity language, was just building the basic contracts, and then I just left it. I didn't got that much interest, but it was interesting to learn about the blockchain. But building the smart contracts is very tedious task, and that's why I just left it.
Mm, some tips to freshers while heading to their one of starter interviews.
Sorry, come again.
I think he means that some tips for fresher while heading to their first interview.
While heading for the first interview.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So just be prepared. Like, which sort of interview are you targeting to? It is a DSA one, or it's a development one? And general interview tips would be just be prepared with whatever the content that you have. Speak confidently. If you have any questions, just ask to that particular person. We usually think that interviewer is just to bog you down, but it's not. He's just there to help you. The lesser the number of interviews he has to take, the more relaxed he'll feel. So he's just there to help you out. And like according to me, all of my interviews have been just sort of discussion of two persons just trying to solve that particular problem. So the interviewers are very good and very chill. Be sure that you communicate whatever the thoughts you have in your mind.
Mm. Okay, so I was thinking that web development is overhyped. So can I switch to data analytics?
Yeah, if you like that particular field, then you can go ahead with that.
So the next question is, you said logic building is important at choosing a language, but what if companies not accepting C++ anymore because they will prefer only Java for a specific reason like Java has more libraries for development?
No, I don't think so that companies would ever do the same. Like I've never seen a company preferring C++ or Java candidates. They would just ask you to solve a particular problem. And it's not that much easy that if you once you have learned a C++, then you won't be able to switch to Java. I started off with Java, but now I even know the syntax about the C++. So it would just take you one more week just to get to the syntax of the new language. I assume that it's not that much language oriented. You should never be there.
Some secret tips for selecting chances of resume more.
Yeah. Okay. So resume, like you can go through a lot of videos on YouTube. Like I personally have that latex format in which I have clearly mentioned all my details and everything. Like I have my education details over there. I have my CGPA. I have my phone number, email, then like all the basic personal details that you can share it on the resume. And be sure that wherever the project that you're mentioning, be sure that the links for the particular project are working, like the GitHub links, or you can attach the YouTube links for it. You can even write 2 to 3 points about the project, like what should you like what that particular project is about, and try writing about which technologies you have used. So what I did was, like I have said, find is website. Okay, so what I'll write into that I have used Node.js as the backend, or we can say that React charts are being used to for the customers in order to visualize them clearly. So what is that particular technology acting for that particular project? Like React.js charts are acting as visual thing. So if you want to see something, we have a pie chart over that. So for that, we have used React.js components. For the storing of all the data, that is why we have used MongoDB. So write down why you are using that particular technology. And if you can use the numbers for it, so you can say that the consumer attention or consumer retention span have increased by 25% after implementing this particular sort of technology. So what we did was, while Microsoft like during that hackathon Microsoft won, So we had given to that particular users, right? So we found that before the people who are just using the finances and all, so there was 30 to 35% increase in the people of being aware of their finances. So how much impact are you creating? That is also important. And if you highlight that into the project, that creates a good impact to the interviewer.
So the next question is, do you think web development is overhyped?
We have already answered that question.
Okay, so uh, also is is there some solid reason to learn web development in place of Web3 and AI ML due to AI? Also, I'm asking, is it even Mang and Fang are laying off more people than that of they are hiring for development? I hope you will resolve this query.
So what is your actual question? Like you want to, like
I
you
think he
see that
wants
development is depleting nowadays, the trend, and you want to learn about Web3, right?
uh,
Okay, okay. Yeah. So it's not like that that companies are just laying off the development employees. They would be also, but the employees who are being hired for the Web3 technology are very few, because we don't see a lot of uh, lot of resources, you can say, and it's not that much easy to crack a blockchain interview. So for a fresher, like I would just recommend with the web development in the AI ML things. So you have the projects, one or two projects till your internship period, and then once your internship is done and you have rest 6 to 8 months to chill and enjoy, then you can just try on to how you can grow with the Web3 field. It's not a bad field, but I would just say that as a fresher, you should just focus on web development first, and then switch to the Web3.
So the next question is, what are your open opinions about open source contribution? And should we seriously consider devoting time for open source given the current market situation?
Yeah. So in my second, third year, I was a part of SSOC, and that was also open source. Yeah, I used to participate in open source things like the GitHub. What GitHub has one particular, I guess, open source contribution event. I'm not able to remember the name right now. So I used to contribute on open source. I don't think so that you should think about the current market situation, but rather you should focus about the learnings that you take out of the open source contribution. Like you, as a fresher, you won't be able to do that much big project that are available already on open source. So the first thing is that you'll be able to work on the real life projects, and the second one is you'll be able to communicate with the community. Like you learn how do you communicate as a software developer in big companies. Like I remember that I was being added into a Discord channel of the open source community of the project that I was being part of. So I was there contributing, like what sort of thing is doing that, and like from that whole project you will learn a lot of things. The third thing would be that you will learn about the debugging skill. Like you have that entire project and you'll have to find that exact line in the code, that where is that particular glitch happening. So debugging skills is there, collaborating skill is there, you'll learn to network with the people. So there are a lot of learnings out of it.
I think these are all the questions.
Yeah. Yeah, showcasing. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good.
How useful is aptitude in placements?
Yeah, there is just one round for aptitude, but they would be very simple rounds. So I don't think so that you should prepare it for the aptitude separately. It would be very simple basic maths that we have already done. I don't think so that you should prepare for aptitude rounds for the interviews. You can just go through some of the recently, like some of the most frequently asked questions on the that particular company that you are applying to, and go through the aptitude questions. But you should not prepare for it separately.
How can we manage our college with TSA and development together?
Yeah. So even I was like just 2 years back, I was facing the same doubt. I was just pinging my seniors that shall I do DSA, shall I do development and sort of thing. So what I did was, first of all, I just focused on DSA. Like I was completed 2 to 3 months. I focused that I'm not gonna make any projects or any sort of thing. First, I should be very sure that I should be able to solve easy to medium level of questions on DSA, and then only I'll start off with any other new technology. So I first tried to completely strong my one particular DSA skill, and then if I was confident enough that I'm able to solve many questions on lead code that are easy to medium level, then I slowly lessen the time for the DSA and started off giving that particular time to the development. So I used to do 3 day DSA, 3 day development, 1 day rest sort of thing. So like I don't find any one particular strategy that works for everyone. What works for you just works for you. But DSA is much more important. So like you should be strong with DSA, and then on weekends, like 2 to 3 days, you can take off from the DSA, and then you can just primarily focus on making the project.
So, okay, these are all the questions for now.
Okay.
If you have any other questions, you could ask. Can you share your resume with us?
Yeah, we can share it on the WhatsApp channels.
So it seems like these are all the questions.
Yeah,
Thank you all of you for being here. This was a great session. I think you got something out of it. And thank you, Gungun, for sharing your insights.
yeah. Thank you
And
everyone for patient listening to me, and I'm happy to help all of you.
so on that note, let's end the session. Thank you everyone again.